Hello, I'm Cindy Ehrenberg-Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to a special one-hour edition of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. Our topic today is one that's very important to me, both personally and professionally, the prevention and eradication of childhood obesity. Over the last 3 decades, our lifestyles have changed, often for the better, but not always. The elimination of physical fitness programs from schools, a more sedentary lifestyle, and the preponderance of food high in calories but not necessarily high in nutrition have caused childhood obesity rates in America to triple. Today, nearly 1 in 3 children in America are overweight or obese, with numbers even higher in African American and Hispanic communities, where nearly 40% of children are overweight or obese. At this rate, 1/3 of all children born in 2000 or later will suffer from diabetes at some point in their lives, while others will face chronic obesity-related health problems like heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, and asthma. Considering the human and medical costs, this is clearly an issue that affects us all. Besides establishing a nutrition and fitness task force, local community leaders have also embraced 2 national initiatives. First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative, which strives to put children on the path to a healthy future during their earliest months and years. It gives parents helpful information and fosters environments that support healthy choices. It also pushes for providing healthier foods in our schools and ensures that every family has access to healthy, affordable food while helping children become more physically active. The second initiative, aimed at making communities healthier, is the Center for Disease Control's Pioneering Healthier Communities, implemented in partnership with the YMCA's nationwide. Here to talk about childhood obesity and local efforts to eradicate it are Dr. Paula Thatchy, a pediatrician who is director of the Broward County Health Department and chair of the Children's Services Council of Broward County, Andy Crawford, the director of community initiatives for the YMCA of Broward County, Mary Lee, an activist who recently traveled to Washington to address issues related to building healthy communities, and finally, Kirk Nelson, a chef and managing partner of Be Organic LLC. Later in the program, we will hear from Broward County Commissioners Eileen Lieberman and Dale Holness on countywide efforts to provide children with adequate nutrition and fitness opportunities, and Ben Wheeler of the Greater Hollywood YMCA Family Center on implementing new ways to encourage physical activity among children. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is such an important topic. Having struggled with my weight my whole life, my heart just goes out for these children who have become obese at such an early age. Paula, I want to start with you and talk a little bit about Broward County statistics. We heard about what's happening nationwide, but can you tell us about Broward?
Well, Cindy, as you said, in the United States, nearly 1 in 3 children are overweight or obese, and actually 17% of those are obese. This rate has tripled since 1980. Wow. In Broward County, according to Florida Charts, which is the Department of Health's data system, about 10% of our middle school students and about 10% of our high school students have a body mass index more than or equal to the 95th percentile, and this would put them in the category of obese. Body mass index is what we use to determine overweight and obesity in children, and this is calculated from height and weight, and then it's compared to children of the same gender and the same age. So a child is determined to be overweight if their body mass index is more than or equal to the 85th percentile, but less than the 95th percentile compared to children of the same age and gender, and determined to be obese if their body mass index is more than or equal to the 95th percentile compared to children of the same age and gender. So we obviously have significant issues in Broward County, along with the significant issues that are occurring nationally. There are also significant racial and ethnic disparities, as well as socioeconomic disparities with overweight and obesity. For example, in 2007-2008, Hispanic boys were significantly more likely to be obese than non-Hispanic white boys. And non-Hispanic black girls were significantly more likely to be obese than non-Hispanic white girls. With regard to socioeconomic status, 1 in 7 of low-income preschool children in the United States are obese, and this may be largely due to a lack of access to fresh fruits and vegetables in their communities and a lack of safe, accessible outdoor space in which to play.
Now, when Leia was born, my daughter, I talk about her a lot on this show. She's about to be 5, can't believe it. I was taking her to the pediatrician in those first years several times. They were always checking her height and weight and giving us guidance. Is that not happening in the low-income communities? Are we seeing that the kids are not going to the pediatrician as well to get that guidance?
I think access to health care is always an issue with respect to transportation, with respect to insurance and socioeconomic status. But pediatricians are a very important partner in combating childhood obesity, because one of the strategies is to empower parents and to give them the tools and the information and the support that they need to make the right choices for their families. And we really want to make the healthy choice, the easy choice, the default choice.
That parental choice issue is something really important, because I'm sure there are people out there saying, why is the First Lady getting involved in what I'm eating and what I feed my family? And we were talking a little earlier about why that is important. It's not government telling us what to do, but rather empowering families. Mary, you're involved in your community.
Yes, I am. And it, again, as you said, it's not about telling the individual or families what to do, but it's giving you choices. It's giving you tools to work with in the various communities, because we are concerned about the obesity of the children. You know, what are you eating? What are you consuming? What kind of products? You know, the sugars, the carbohydrates, and those types of things. So I can understand where Michelle Obama is coming from with, trying to lay out the do's and don'ts for us. But again, it's a choice that we have to make as families. That's a choice for the family to make.
And it's not about demonizing families.
Absolutely not.
I think that's a concern as well. I mean, some people are a little fluffier than others. But so we don't want to make people who have some extra pounds on them feel bad, but rather give them some tools to combat it. You have been very active in that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what we have tried to do is educate our community about living and eating a healthier lifestyle. The bottom line is we noticed that there's a lot of, again, obese kids, obese parents, but the problem is not just that the kids don't have the resources, that the parents don't have the resource. Like the parents don't understand that you have to, take initiative. Like, in other words, we could tell the kids all day, eat fruits, but if they go home and the fruits are not there, are available for them, like you guys were saying earlier, then unfortunately, the same thing gonna happen, the obesity, the overweight, and all this stuff. So what Be Organic, what we're trying to do is, with all of the catering companies, go out to the community, educate them, let them know, like, organic food, the first thing people hear organic food, what they hear is like, oh my God, grass, and it tastes nasty, and it's unhealthy.
It does. It compared to chicken nuggets.
Exactly,
Come
chicken
on.
nuggets, So that's what we hear, but when we actually flavor our food and we give them to them, say, okay, you can have the same thing. Instead of fried chicken, you have baked chicken, okay? And it's still the same, it tastes good, it's still great, it's still, good for you, but it's healthier choice. So that's what we try to do. And we're, 2 years ago, we did a bike tour. And what we did was we rode bicycle around the entire state of Florida. We started from Miami all the way up to Jacksonville on bicycles. Not like bikes or motorcycles, but bicycles. We wanted to bring the message out to everyone. We touched over about 50,000 people, but we fed about, I think, 12,000 people. I believe my numbers may be off, a little bit more than I'm saying. And we went to colleges, we went to churches, we went all over. Anywhere that would accept us, we went to, and we educate people and let them know that, it's the food that you're consuming at the McDonald's, those are the new things. The food that you're eating right now, those are the things that are causing these diseases, the high blood pressure, the cancers, the diabetes and stuff like that. So with Be Organic, we're just trying to give you a starting point. We're not telling that, hey, just because you're a little bit chunky doesn't mean that you're wrong. No, we're saying that everyone is a different structure, but if you put stuff in your body that makes you feel good and make you alive, that's where we are. So.
We're working with Paula as well on the Pioneering Healthy Communities initiative that you mentioned at the intro, and exactly what you said. How easy is the healthy choice? And we've really engineered our lives so that the healthy choice of getting more activity and eating healthier foods is actually the more difficult choice, the more inaccessible choice, and the more costly choice. And while we talk about individual choices, when individuals don't have those choices, or that choice is not accessible or affordable, is it really a choice? So the goal is not to tell people what to do, but to provide a choice and an opportunity, and maybe even nudge the healthy choice a little bit further. And certainly we want to do that with our kids, to say, certainly there's a room in your life for treats. But as we always tell our kids at the Y, unfortunately our treats have become our eats. Our eats need to go back to being our eats, and then your treats can certainly still be there. It's not about taking treats away, it's about putting them back into a treat area, whereas they become an eat area.
Really good point. And when you're talking about framing the community so it can promote those healthy choices, the county and the county commission have a lot to say about that. So let's hear from Commissioner Eileen Lieberman on the county's support of the Let's Move initiative and what they're doing to promote healthy lifestyles.
The issue of childhood obesity is one that's affecting every part of our nation. Nationwide, there are about 3.7 million children, of which a third are considered obese before their 5th birthday. Early obesity in young children can be an indicator of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or type 2 diabetes in later life. So being able to interact with children in their healthy living choices at an early age will help us manage and perhaps prevent some of those diseases. I am fully behind the First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative because it starts early in a child's life. It involves their schools, their parents, people they see in the community about making all kinds of healthy choices. I am particularly interested in this issue because I think it networks with another initiative, which is the food deserts. You know, all too often children in low-income neighborhoods don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And so the Let's Move initiative, which involves the entire community in getting involved in this, will also help bring more fresh food choices to the plates of young children. The county is behind these efforts because we think it's important to the health of our future adult citizens. But we'll be issuing a proclamation on September 13th of this year to proclaim Childhood Obesity Prevention Month. The lobby in the Government Center will have a display all about ways in which you can impact childhood obesity and bring the numbers down. And obviously I'd like to see a reversal in those trends, which unfortunately what we've seen is an increase over the years. In addition, our main library will have periodicals and other books that people can use as part of the outreach program. And we're looking at building partners with other groups who have the same issue at stake that we do. We need partners in this initiative. Of course, we need the schools. Many children have lunch at school 5 days a week and they need healthy choices. Some also have breakfast there, and we want to make sure they're getting healthy choices as well. We need stores, especially in our low-income areas, who will apply for food deserts and will help expand what they sell to fresh fruits and vegetables. We need all of our great not-for-profit agencies that interact on a regular basis with parents and children to help us educate the parents about the importance of making sure that there are better choices on the child's plate. The county wants to make sure that children have many places at which they can be involved in physical activities, and our park system is amazing for that. There's a full range of activities ranging from swimming to horseback riding to target range to skating. I mean, you can do anything just about in a county park. Residents should go to www.broward.org and click on parks to see all of the many offerings we have that help keep residents physically fit. In order to affect childhood obesity, it's going to require a concerted effort. Parents, children, community groups, schools all have to be involved. Not only with the Let's Move initiative, which gets people out of their chairs and working, but with food deserts, expanding opportunities to get fresh fruits and vegetables. In addition to that, we want to make sure that if someone wants to plant a community garden, that we have a space where they can grow vegetables as well. So all of these hopefully will come together so that we can impact childhood obesity in our county.
As Commissioner Lieberman points out, communities are facing a lot of challenges. And Mary, you're down there on ground zero. What are the barriers that you see in your community?
We have so many barriers, but I know we have a lot of senior citizens in our community who are taking care of their grandchildren, believe it or not. And a lot of these senior citizens don't have access to transportation, to get to the proper grocery store, to get the vegetables and the fruits as needed. So therefore they end up having to settle for what's in our neighborhood, the mom and pop store, the corner store, And we talked about that earlier. What you find when you first walk into the store, the corner store, is going to be snacks instead of vegetables and fruits. And we should be trying to place that in front we should be trying to place the fruit and the vegetables in front as opposed to the snacks in the very front. So this is what the children end up eating because it's easy access for them.
Yeah, right at those cash registers,
Yes,
you have
easy
whole
access.
lineups of candy bars and all kinds of junk.
That's not good for them.
No.
And Mary, we talked about, when we traveled to Washington, D.C. and for the Pioneering Healthy Communities Initiative, that it's not necessarily about radical changes. How might we work with those community stores to say, perhaps we could just shift your displays?
Absolutely.
The goal isn't to take business away from them, it's to engage them, to say, how might we get on the same team, recognize the same issue within the community and work together to solve it.
We have to learn how to work with those particular stores and ask them. And you ask them, you're not telling them, but you're asking them to work with you so that you can make the necessary changes because it's for the health of our children. And as Dr. Paul has stated, it's about our children's health today. If they're healthy today, they learn how to eat today, not only will they become healthy, but it trickles down from generation to generation. It continues to go on to each generation. When you know better, you'll do better.
Dr. Thatcher, I think you were talking about the goal of the Let's Move campaign to get this solved quickly, right?
Well, I was so glad to hear Commissioner Lieberman talk about the county's strong support of Let's Move, because really that campaign recognizes the seriousness, the urgency of the epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States, seeking to solve that problem within one generation so that children who are born today can grow up healthier and be more able to pursue and to achieve their dreams. It's absolutely critical that we're successful as a community and as a nation.
We like to talk about turning that curve. So right now the curve is going in the wrong direction,
Absolutely.
bigger and bigger, and we need to start bringing it down. I think one of the challenges for these stores is they get paid a lot of money to put those candy bars and things at the
front.
So, to me, like, I like the idea of having to switch it around. Switch it around. I like that, switch it around. So what I would say is like we do like a little farmers market in front of those stores, like to get the sales of the fruits and the veggies up, because the bottom line is they have to make the money to keep their rent, to pay their bills. But if you show them like, okay, the candy or the apple or the fruits can sell just as fast as any sweets or any soda pop, but you just got to present it to the kids in a way that the kids going to do it. So what we have done is we actually Ada Mary School down in Miami is one of our Michelle Obama's Let's Move program, where we signed up with her. It's called Chef Move to School. Yeah. So we're a part of that initiative, and Ada Mary is the school that we actually introduced into. Ada Mary is like a flagship school of ours, we like to call it. Well, the first time I went to that school is I introduced a veggie option to them. It was like a lettuce wrap. So there's nothing but vegetarian in it. Everything was with lettuce, onions, peppers, and all the stuff that kids would not eat, broccoli and all that stuff. So what I did was I have the kids come up on stage with me, and 5 or 10 kids cook. Because if you get them involved, if you get them touching the earth, if you get them doing certain things, then they're going to be like, all right, you know what, let me try this. So after I left the school, I get a lot of calls from the parents like, oh my God, what have you done to my kids? Because they're eating veggies. And the kids, and these are kids that are eating sweet 24/7, but now they're coming home like, Mom, this guy was there, he made this vegetable thing, and can you make it for me? So we had our sauces like shipping out to parents and stuff like that, because the bottom line is, if you give them something that they can do, and it's a family time. Not only, that's what we try to bring back the family to the table. Get away from the video game, get away from your cell phone, go back to the table with the kids one Sunday, and that can change their output. That's what we're trying to push in our company here.
And not only will it make them healthier that way, but it also improves family functioning.
Exactly.
And we did a show recently about how eating the family dinner reduces juvenile crime, it helps with preventing substance abuse. It all ties together, bringing that family unit back. And so we want to get the healthy food in, and we also want to keep them moving, right,
Absolutely.
Andy?
The kids are born to move. We as humans are born to move. And like I said earlier, we've engineered that right out of our lives. And all we need to do is go back to who we are supposed to be, which is movers. And kids, have you ever watched them in their natural environment? They are dying to move, and we do a lot of things to try and contain that movement. Where can we give them an opportunity to do that safely? You mentioned safe green spaces outside. Where are the places that we can simply play? And then how do we also give kids an opportunity to become skilled movers? When we eliminate physical education, when we don't teach kids the skills to become skilled movers, they're not going to become lifelong movers because they haven't achieved those skills. Who likes to play anything that they're horrible at? No one likes to do that. So unless they learn how to throw and kick and jump and all those things, then they're not going to continue that as older children and into adulthood. So it's about how do we get us back to play, but then also how do we become skilled movers so that we engage in lifelong wellness, and how do we make active recreation our choice? How does that become our choice for kids and for families together?
And that's another way that the county is trying to get involved. Commissioner Dale Holness has been very committed, he and his staff, to the Let's Move initiative and implementing some interesting programs in his district. Let's hear from him on some of these.
Well, let me first compliment the First Lady for the effort that she's put in. It's great foresight to recognize that the health concerns of our people are critical, and especially of our youth. If our youths grow up obese and get all the ailments that we know are common to that, diabetes, hypertension, and even cancer, and even mental illness, can result from that. Low performance in school. Studies have shown that when a child is physically active, that they perform better academically. So it's important for us to be a part of that. And for me it is. It is a critical part, especially representing a district that has a high need for development, because we have a large number of people who are poor and lack the education and the skill sets to earn a good living. So helping our children prepare themselves for the future is critical to our community, to the world, and for us in America. For us to be strong, we have to make sure that we have healthy people, reduce our costs also from a governmental standpoint, now and in the future. Healthier people keep our healthcare system in shape to where it doesn't cost us too much money as taxpayers. After I got elected last year to the County Commission, I set up committees to help ensure that we're able to fulfill the promises that we made. And a big part of that was in the health area to support that, education, economic development, job creation. All of that needs to be worked together. So one of the committees we have is actually for youth development sports programs. And we're very active with that. I participate with a group called CASA that provides for youth development through sports and activity. We're involved with community gardening in Lauderdale Lakes, in Lauderdale Manors, in Pompano, where we basically get the youths involved in the process also, bring them out so that they can do some gardening, so they see how the plants grown and understand the need to eat healthy. And that's a whole part of the educational process there. I'm also a board member for Feeding South Florida, because we know that if the kids go to school hungry, there's going to be a problem with them learning. So Feeding South Florida helps with providing food to people in our community. I helped in Pompano set up a food pantry at one of the churches there with Carmen Jones. Clive Webster is my community liaison coordinator, and he's very much out there helping me with all these activities that we're engaged with. I'm also a member of Body Mechanics, a health group that targets MOVE. Basically, the idea is this, that if you were to walk just a few more paces each day, take a few extra steps, that would help also. Park your car a good distance away from where you're going, rather than just pull up to the doorway and walk that extra few steps, and that will help you. I take the steps when I come here all the time. I don't take the elevator. That's another way to do it. You know, having even 2-3 times a week a short walk can help tremendously. You know, when I walk, I sometimes take one of my kids with me to walk, and it's a good conversation to have. It's peaceful. There's no television, no one else disrupting you. You're there, and you're able to really bond in a great way. But part of what we're doing with the gardening is bringing the family together. The family is the first unit, and then it expands into the neighborhood. So once you're able to bring that in, of course, the city and the county and the state and the nation. So starting at that level of the family, with bringing them together in the community to do like the community gardening, where you bring the kids out and teach them how gardening works. And it's marvelous to see plants grow. I mean, I know for me it is. To plant a seed and then after a while you have a plant and you have something you can eat. I think it's fascinating for the kids also, for them to get engaged and involved with that. Many of the activities that we are involved with involve kids with sports, whether it be a Little League football team, a soccer group, or a netball group, because we actually have netball or basketball. There's a whole host of sports that kids can get involved with and engage with that can help. We have to make sure that we put funding in place to facilitate the space and the places for these activities to happen.
As Commissioner Holness said, walking and being active together as a family can be so much fun. A little annoying at times, as I was trying to chase my 4-year-old and make sure that we were actually walking together down the street. But not everybody is taking that active approach. Paula, you had some statistics about the sedentary lifestyle of our young people?
Yeah. Well, first of all, walking is something that we all took for granted, walking to school or riding our bikes to school, and maybe I'm dating myself, but it's something that we all took for granted. In 1969, 48% of children rode their bikes or walked to school, and now that number is less than 8%. On average, teenagers in the United States spend 7.5 hours a day in sedentary activity, playing video games, using the internet, or watching television. So one of the things that we can do as a community, and have done as a community, is a program called Safe Routes to School. And that is a program that really is very comprehensive. It involves something called the walking school bus, which is absolutely adorable when you see it. There are children walking to school, and there are props that they have for safety, and there are parent volunteers. But Safe Routes to School is really much more comprehensive than that. It's a community-wide effort. It involves parents, it involves parent-teachers associations, it involves children, it involves local law enforcement, it involves Department of Transportation, metropolitan planning organizations, all kinds of folks, to make sure that those routes to school that the children are walking are safe, and really encouraging that as physical activity. And in designing our communities in such a way, or redesigning our communities in such a way as to promote healthier communities.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, nobody worried about me being abducted on my way to school. That was, I walked to school, that wasn't a problem. So people who are watching who might want their child to go on one of these walking school buses, is it already happening?
It was piloted in one Broward County school, and it's something that we're working to have implemented in more schools, but it's something that parents can really start with their own PTO and their own schools and their own children within their own local communities. But there are efforts that are going to be going on to expand Safe Routes to School.
So who should they contact, or where should they look? At their local PTO, or?
At this point, they can look at the CDC and they can at website, and they can look up Safe Routes to School. They can contact the Broward County Health Department. They can contact the YMCA, and they can work with their own PTOs to organize that in their schools.
That's great. That sounds like a wonderful idea. I loved when I lived in communities where we could walk. You look like you're anxious to say something.
No, I was just remembering the days when I was younger and I lived in New York and walking in the snow. And I'm like, down here in South Florida is beautiful. You should have a walking school bus in every single neighborhood, because the bottom line is it's beautiful outside 24/7, unless when a hurricane comes around, then it's a different story. But apart from that, it's still definitely.
And I too am like you, because growing up in the Deep South many years ago, most of my youth, I walked to and from school, and again, we didn't have the problems with being abducted. It was just a norm for us to do. So that gave us a lot of exercise, and not only walking to and from, but once we entered school, there was even more physical activity. So it kind of kept us going most of the time.
And when you have more kids walking to school and you have more parents accompanying them outside of their cars and on the sidewalks, you have more eyeballs on the children's safety, and you have fewer cars in a carpool lane. You have fewer people trying to make dangerous turns into groups of children trying to cross the street. When you increase pedestrian traffic, you increase their safety, and we increase the safety of all the children. So the YMCA is a huge supporter of the walking school bus. As Paula mentioned, we're excited to work with PTOs and to work with parent groups to say, you know, kids should be engaged in active transportation, especially if you attend a neighborhood school. How can we work to make this a priority in our communities?
That can also save us a lot of money, just as a side note.
Sure.
In these days when the schools are facing so much of a budget crunch, wouldn't it be great to have them be able to spend the money on teachers rather than on fuel and school buses?
Sure would.
So let's talk about some of the other things that are being done to keep children physically active. One thing that the Children's Services Council started 3 years ago, Andy, you're a great partner in at the Y, which is introducing, we've always had a requirement for physical activity in our after school and our summer programs, but we realized that perhaps more of a curriculum was needed. And so we introduced the Spark curriculum, and the Y has taken that on in a real leadership role. Can you talk
We're
about
excited to partner with both Children's Services Council and the Health Foundation of South Florida and Spark to say, what can we really do to, we're never going to try in the after-school setting to replace physical education that we would love to see restored during the school day, and we're a strong advocate for that. But in the meantime, years are passing us by, and children are going through entire school years without physical education. And we have so many children in our after-school programs, and we're very excited about a lot of the work we've been doing in after-school programs. Our physical activity component, how can we take it up several notches and say, we as an organization in partnership with our great partners, how can we really look to increase both the quality and the quantity of that physical activity component? How do we create those skilled movers that I referenced earlier? How do we get kids not just participating during that after school space, but then taking it home and saying, you know what, rather than that screen time back home, why don't I get some friends together in the neighborhood and why don't I teach them this game that I learned during my Spark time? And we're excited to say that we are training our staff more effectively through the support of our funders. We've been able to develop some master trainers within our organization so that we can keep bringing back our staff and saying, let's look at all these different ways that we can get kids active the entire time. Not just the kids who enjoy sports, not just our star athletes, but all of the kids in our program. How do we get them excited about movement so that they do it here and then they take it home and they get their families active as well? So we're excited to beef up everything we're doing around physical activity and to work with our partners to do so.
That's a great lead-in to hear from Ben Wheeler, who is the interim executive director at the Greater Hollywood YMCA Family Center. Let's hear from him about how youth are being effectively engaged in physical activities and the Y's approach.
Well, one of our signature programs is called YFit. It's encouraging children to continue to be active through play. We implemented the Spark curriculum. Some of the funding for the YFit programs has come through the Children's Services Council, and we've been able to really get the kids moving and acclimated and doing more than they've ever done before. So a lot of the Spark curriculum and the implementation through YFit focuses on kids just constant movement and activities. We call it MVPA, moderate to vigorous physical activity, and encouraging kids to just stay moving. It's one of the ways that we're really battling childhood obesity at the YMCA here in Broward County, in all of South Florida. It's not always new games or new activities, it's taking existing games and existing things like kickball and turning kickball into an activity that everybody can participate in all the way through. It's taking the way we teach basketball to kids and saying, okay, how can we give more kids more touches, more opportunity to use the ball and to really develop their skills instead of one ball and 10 kids. We say, how do we get 10 balls and 10 kids, and how do we make this productive so everybody stays engaged and involved the whole time and really get to practice their skill set throughout the day? So it just takes the existing games and existing things that we've all grown up playing and we've all grown up participating in, and saying, how do we get more touches per kid and more activity and really get the kids to exercise during practice times? By implementing the Spark curriculum through the YFIT programs, there's a couple of goals we're trying to achieve. One is continuing to battle childhood obesity. It's an epidemic here in South Florida, across the nation, and so these are activities that we can find kids to show the kids that they can have fun while exercising, that it's not about being on a treadmill, it's not about just running laps or punishment through exercise, it's about having fun and enjoying time with your friends while learning a skill and exercising at the same time. So many of the kids don't realize they're exercising, they just go and have fun playing activities. It also gives us better skill development. Kids get more touches on the ball, more times practicing, more times actually doing the skill, not just watching it or watching other kids do it, but actually hands-on involvement. So their skill development goes through the roof as well. So we found it to be tremendously effective. Parents love it because their children are engaged the entire time, the entire class. They're not waiting for directions. They're not sitting down and waiting for a turn. They're part of the practice the whole time. They get exercise, they get to move, they get to do a lot of different things. We run different age groups so we can do more age-appropriate activities for the kids. So we'll have the younger age groups go for usually 30 to 40 minutes for kind of constant movement. The older kids will go 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what they do. Inside the YMCA building itself, for our members, we offer this program 3 different times a day for different age groups. We also have been able to take this program out into the community with the help of the Children's Services Council. We're implementing this in over 50 before and after school sites in Broward County in this fall. So really excited to be able to push this program down and share the results that we've been able to see so far with the entire county. We've implemented the YFIT program through all of our YMCA facilities and implemented using the Spark curriculum to do that, but there's only so many people we can impact in that way, and so as the YMCA continues to try to impact more and more people in Broward County and continues to really battle childhood obesity from a grassroots level, we formed some dynamic partnerships with Broward County School District, with local parks and local parks and recreation departments, with our local cities and municipalities. We work closely with a number of different agencies as well that also serve children in certain ways as we've kind of positioned ourselves as hopefully the go-to people for battling childhood obesity and for this kind of programming. It's really innovative and it's unique, and so we're bringing people in and we're going to them and finding different ways to have access to families and to kids in our community to continue to do that. And so partnerships are absolutely essential for us to be successful in really combating childhood obesity on a countywide level.
Well, as Ben points out, partnerships are critical to make this work. This is really an entire community from bottom up. Andy, can you talk about those partnerships that the YMCA is trying to promote?
Sure. The Y is working with a variety of partners in the community, as we always have. And this is a huge issue. I mean, it's going to, just like not one problem evolved to create this outcome, not one solution is going to solve that outcome either. It's all of us working in collaboration, in partnership, bringing what resources we have to the table together. We have a tremendous partnership with the Broward County School District. In fact, we've been able to open a YMCA within the school. At the Lauderhill Community YMCA is actually inside Lauderhill Middle School. We've had an opportunity to work with the school to provide wellness opportunities for the students and the staff of the school, also our after-school programs that are provided at that community, but then also to open the doors of that school to the community, to bring in families, seniors, to give opportunities for recreation in a community that maybe didn't have a lot of opportunities for recreation before. So we are growing that partnership, and lots of people are getting on board to recognize what a valuable partnership that is. So funders, schools, families, communities, city government, county government, this is all our issue. And we're certainly all going to have to deal with the ramifications of it. So let's get on the front end of it together and work in partnership to come up with some solutions.
And these solutions are not just being pulled out of thin air. These are based on some solid evidence and investigation, right, Paula?
All the things that we've talked about today, the policy and environmental changes so that families can make the healthy choices, so that the healthy choice becomes the easy choice or the default choice. These are all evidence-based, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So everything from safe routes to school, to community gardens, to after-school programs that offer physical activity, i.e. the Sparks program from the YMCA, working with food outlets, the grocery stores to have fresh fruits and vegetables available to the community, designing our communities in such a way or redesigning them in such a way that there is green space, that our roads are safe for pedestrians and for bicyclists. All of these are things that we, as community members, need to work together to implement in our own local communities to address our own local obesity epidemic in Broward County children.
We know, I mean, no parent wants to see their child suffer, and nobody wants to suffer themselves. So we know that if we support parents, then they'll make those better choices, we think. But still, driving home at night, and there's that McDonald's. We don't want to demonize McDonald's, but just, you know, there's that easy choice, whatever it is. You want us to know there are easy choices that can be made that actually will be healthy.
I mean, you could definitely go home and make something really quick and easy. And for those who can't really cook, I have a company website that you could go and get a couple pointers, or you know, if you want to, you can call us and we can come through and show you exactly how to prepare an easy meal with your family and make it a family thing. Don't make it just about just you in the kitchen by yourself struggling. You know, you have the kids there. You have the kids do the lettuce, wash the lettuce. You know, have the kids do the fruits and stuff like that, and then you take care of like the stove and stuff like to keep everyone active, to keep you around the family. Get away from the texting, get away from the computers and all that stuff. Just about family. An hour a day, I think, can make a change in everyone's life. I think that's what we're missing now. And that's the reason why there's so many health crises going on. We're just missing that hour a day with our kids just to get them right. And that's where we sit in.
And those advocates, those local advocates, I mean, I threw out there about the fast food, but really we've seen a change in our fast food community now. And it's because of local activists saying we need to have some healthy choices.
Absolutely.
So once you get there, make those healthy choices.
Absolutely.
But talk about how what you've been doing.
I'm seeing McDonald's trying to make some changes. And as you said, giving them a choice of the apple versus the French fries. And but I think in that case, it's basically left up to the parent to kind of encourage the youth. And it's an ongoing thing. Once you start encouraging them about eating the right things, it's going to give them a better attitude about themselves, that they are going to want to continue to eat the right things, because you say to them, if you eat this, and if you eat this, and if you eat this, then you're going to be stronger. All of these other things that we're talking about that could possibly happen to you, high blood pressure, diabetes, diabetes type 2, and a number of other issues could come up from us continuing to live the way we are living now. So again, we want to present, and we're trying to present tools for them to make those choices to have a better life, to live a little bit better than what they have been. It's all about making a change. And change, we know, is not easy, but it's good. Change is good.
One of those other challenges, I think, that is the Clean Your Plate Club. You know, I'm trying really hard with my daughter not to do that.
That's right.
And that's probably, you know, really foreign. I know in my house it was, you have got to clean your plate. And I find with her, she actually can take 2 spoons of ice cream that she was dying for and then say, that's it, I'm done. That never would happen. And like, what do you know, in my head, I'm like, are you kidding? You could throw the rest of that chocolate cake away? But I think one of the struggles for us as parents is to say, that's okay.
Right.
Let them have the 2 bites
Absolutely.
of chocolate cake
Absolutely.
or the 2 bites of ice cream. We don't have to deny all of those. Just let the censors not get overridden by our own, you know, force of will.
I believe that's what people face with. I mean, most people jump on health. The reason why certain diets don't work for certain people is because you go to a straight extreme. Like, for example, like when you go to these, I don't want to name anyone, but when you go to certain diets, it's saying get rid of everything that you normally consume. And what happened is your body is like, okay, I'm used to certain things at certain time, and now you're telling me that only thing I eat is this lettuce, and that's why most people think organic really tastes bad, because they're like, this piece of lettuce, that's all I'm going to eat for the rest of the day. But no, what you can say is that you eat this lettuce, but you can have a half of this chocolate right here, all right, and that's going to be your sweet fix. And that's all it is. It's just like, as you said, give your daughter that little option and get that ice cream, because she wants the ice cream. Because if she doesn't get it, what's going to happen? She's going to grow up later on with the eating habit because she loves ice cream now because you told her not to. But if you gave her the ice cream, she's like, oh, this is good, and I can go about
And give people the tools to, like you said, listen to those own sensors in their body. If you eat a meal with your family in conversation, then you have an opportunity to listen to those. If you eat a meal in front of the television and you engage in that mindless behavior, you don't have those sensors. So those are individual things. We're talking about systems and policy things, but it's all those things together that are going to lead us to that change you're talking about.
Absolutely. And you know, for myself personally, we're talking about, this is a personal thing, and this is what I've done with myself. And I find that if I eat out of smaller plates or smaller dishes, I don't consume as much. But if I get a larger plate, then it means I think I have to fill the entire plate. And I don't want to leave anything, because we were always taught to eat whatever is on the plate. You have nothing left over. So I concentrate and I practice that, try to practice, eating using the smaller plate or the smaller dish. And once I've eaten from there, well, then that's it.
And portion size is a huge issue. And as part of the tools that are given to parents in the Let's Move initiative, we have the dietary guidelines that come out from USDA, and they're simplified into something called My Plate, which really deals with portion size and maybe a little bit easier for folks to relate to than, say, the food pyramid.
Right.
Yeah, because I think we've lost all concept of what a real portion is supposed to be.
Right, right.
Well, this has been a great conversation. It's something I could really go on for hours about, but unfortunately we have to end now. These and other efforts at the local, regional, and national levels are aimed at changing the way we look at children's health in a more comprehensive way and at ensuring a healthier upbringing for future generations. Everyone can get involved, and everyone should get involved in any or all of these activities. Please stay tuned for more information on different community resources and ways in which you can get involved in creating a healthier community for all of us. I've been your host, Cindy Ehrenberg-Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. For copies of this program or any other episode of Future First, please call the Children's Services Council at 954-377-1000 or visit www.cscbroward.org. And remember to join us next time on Future First, Focus on Broward's Children.
Hello, I am Robert Becker, proud principal of Embassy Creek Elementary School in Cooper City. Like many schools in Broward County, traffic is a major concern. One of the ways that we can beat the traffic and get kids exercise is to have the walking school bus. The walking school bus offers so many benefits, not only to the parents as far as making sure that their child is safe walking to school, but it also gives kids an opportunity to exercise and to move in the mornings before they get to school. Benefits of that are health and wellness, improved cardiovascular system, and a really good attitude when they come to school. Students that have the ability to be able to get outside and exercise or walk to school or ride their bikes to school usually come to school a little calmer, a little more better able to sit down and focus on their classwork during the course of the day. The teachers love the walking school bus. They believe that it brings their children into the classroom, allows them to focus, and allows the classroom teacher to teach the subjects that they need to teach during the course of the day to move our kids forward. Our resource officer, Deputy Jay Greer, brought the idea to us. He made some phone calls. He also had some traffic analysis done, and we found out that we have such a large amount of cars that come through our drop-off line that we needed an option. And this option of the walking school bus is where we went. I honestly don't think that there's a school in the district that would not benefit from the walking school bus. Again, children get the exercise, teachers get the benefits of children that come in and are focused, and the traffic lines are a lot less in the mornings. So the benefit of the walking school bus are immense.
Hi, my name is Deputy Jay Greer. I work for the Broward Sheriff's Office. I am the resource deputy at the school. The school is Embassy Creek Elementary School. We had a problem with people parking illegally on an off-site parking facility. We had to put a stop to that and still give a place for these people to park and walk with their children. And I looked around for different programs and ran across this program called the Walking School Bus, sponsored by the Department of Health. After further review of that program, we looked at that and thought it would be a perfect match for our school. The facility is close enough for our parents to walk to, and it gives the benefit of the kids getting some additional exercise, that they require. Some of the challenges is the spot where the people were illegally parking does require some manpower to make sure that doesn't happen. You have to, again, people get into habits of doing things, and you have to kind of slowly break that habit and get them to the point where it's going to be safer for them, safer for their children, and it's going to be safer, much better for the school if the children are walking versus riding in their cars and sitting in traffic. As long as there's some place for people to gather, once you gather these people, you have representatives from the community, the PTA people were very much involved in it. The people from the Department of Health were involved in it. Once we got the ball rolling and the children starting to walk, again, it's a community event where you have to have all parties. You have to have the police, you have to have the PTA, you have to have the people from the community. It has to be a partnership. For any of these programs to work, it has to be a partnership. And we looked at this, and our partnership really ran extremely well. If others were to pick up with this idea, the steps would be that meet with their PTAs, make sure their community is on board with it. Without their support, it's really going to go nowhere because it takes everybody to get this thing going. The PTA was a very integral part of it. We had one of the ladies from the PTA, Pam Pelkey, she stepped up and she did an excellent job. At some of our events that we had, we took email addresses down, found out which people were interested. We gave them all the information they needed and set up a couple meetings prior at the location where we were going to park. We set up a couple meetings there just to explain the program a little further, and the response was extremely well. The people absolutely loved the idea that they were walking with their children, parking legally, and actually getting to school faster than if they'd stayed in the carpool line.
I'm Lee Elias, and I'm a parent, and I very much endorse the walking school bus. I think it's a great idea, a great concept. We've put it into place, and I think it's been working wonderfully. As a parent, I think I would much rather walk my child to school maybe one day a week as opposed to 5 days a week if I get together with other parents who support it. I feel my kids are safer walking together as a group. We're walking in a safe area. We're not jaywalking or walking illegally. The idea is to have someone in the front, someone in the back. They get to talk to their friends. They get to have their start of the day, sort of like their morning coffee, get them going in the morning and puts them in a good mood when they get to school.
We